Good afternoon, everyone, and warm welcome to Industry Insight, starting your own business. My name is Yasin Hassan, and I'm the acting area leader for local jobs team at Opportunity Wyndham within Wyndham City Council. So I'm joined today by my colleagues Pira, Nusrat, and Ramazay, who are behind the scenes and will be managing the chat function for this session. I'll start with acknowledgement of country. Wyndham City Council recognizes Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as Australia's First Nation. We pay our respect to the traditional owners of the lands on which Wyndham operates, that is the Bunurong and Wurundjeri people, the enduring connection to the Werribee River, Yallourn River, the creeks, stars, hills, and red clay of this country is deeply acknowledged. We honor the ancestors and elders who continue to care for this land and community, ensuring its well-being for present and future generation. Wyndham City Council, Opportunity Wyndham is proudly organizing this event. And I'll give you a quick introduction of what Opportunity Wyndham is. So Opportunity Wyndham provides local businesses with free tools, resources, and access to recruitment services and local talent to build stronger, more inclusive workplace. The initiative brings together Wyndham City Council, local employment partners, educational institutions, and businesses to build local pathways to employment with support from the Victorian State Government. The purpose of our session today, Industry Insight, is to support and inspire entrepreneurs in Wyndham by offering them insight and knowledge to help kickstart their businesses. We want attendees to gain industry insight, learn from experienced entrepreneurs, and explore proven strategies for success. This event is also an opportunity to connect with fellow entrepreneurs and discover local resources for business startup. The event seeks to nurture the entrepreneurial spirit in Wyndham, fostering positive change and innovation in the community. So just quick housekeeping things before we go into our panelists. Please, we're using Teams, and I think most of you will not be able anyway, but if you are able to, for your microphones and speakers on, please turn it off if you're not presenting or asking a question. We have a Q&A session at the end of this event, so if you have burning question, please just drop it in the chat function, and the team will be managing that. If we'll get to it at the end of when panelists finish presenting. If we don't have time, we will write down the questions and I will send to the specific panelist, and they will reply, and we will send you an email afterwards in the coming days. And for the panelists, we will appreciate if you can stay with us until 5 o'clock, but we understand that it could be difficult sometimes, but if you have to go after you're presenting, no worries, you can. We will send any specific questions to you and we'll email you, and hopefully you can answer it in your own time. And also just to highlight, this session is recorded. So, and the recordings will be sent after the session, the coming days, and it will be edited to take out any unnecessary parts. So that being said, on behalf of Wyndham City Council and Opportunity Wyndham, I would like to now introduce our first panelist, who's also from Wyndham City Council. That is Lisa Kuriana. Lisa serves as a Business and Industry Development Officer at Wyndham City Council, a key member of dedicated economic development team. Her primary role involves engaging and supporting local business by identifying the specific needs and connecting them with relevant support initiatives at both state and federal levels. Lisa and her team provide practical training, giving business with essential skills, spanning operations, marketing, and financial management. Furthermore, Lisa and her team actively foster connection between government entities, industries, and the community, forging pathway for fresh investment and growth opportunity. They aim to cultivate a diverse, resilient local economy that can adapt to local, national, and global influence. Lisa and her team pivotal role extends to facilitating job creation, attracting investment, and facilitating national and international trade within Wyndham community. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for joining us. And the first question I have for you, could you please share some essential local resources or initiatives that aspiring entrepreneurs in the community can leverage for business support?
No worries. Thanks, Yazin. That was a big mouthful explaining our roles. As Yazin said, I'm Lisa Caruana. I work as a business and industry development officer here at Wyndham in the economic development unit. One of my colleagues is here as well from Spark, and he'll get an introduction later. So in terms of how we support our local businesses or locals really in terms of getting started in their business or within business, we have a number of programs. So I'll explain a big part of my role is around capacity building within our community to help them within their businesses. So a big part of my role is to put together a training calendar every 6 months of all our training that will be on offer to assist our businesses. Our training is completely free. It's about building capacity. So one of those big things for us is our programs. It's about building skills and capacity, giving you professional development that you can then take away and apply in your business. The other things we do is I engage actively with businesses every week. I go out to businesses, or sometimes they come into the Civic Centre, or I meet them in the community to have a chat to them about their business. So I will focus on their business journey, where they're at, where they started. I will even ask them about their, their skills in past work if it's relevant to the conversation. Find out where they're at, find out where the opportunities lie within their business and where they see things, their growth opportunities, but also find out about their gaps, because those gaps present opportunities for us to help build capacity. So, a lot of people come to us and they've got a great product or service, but they don't know how to market, for example, or they haven't worked on a business plan. They've got, ideas on paper, but they don't know how to formulate it. So we sort of bridge their gaps where possible by leveraging off-government services, such as we'll connect them to various services within Business Victoria, mentoring programs with VECI, for example. VCCI, sorry, I shouldn't say VECI. I always say that, VCCI, which is the Victoria Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We also have Spark, our innovation centre, but that's for Brendan to tell you about. We have innovation programs, which we run for free as well. There's an expression of interest process because it's a competitive process, but it's all about creating growth within businesses and inspiring change. Also look at, we constantly are on the lookout for grants. So I even received a phone call today from someone looking for some grants that state government had in the past. So often we need to be on top of what grants are being offered at a state and federal level, but also from time to time, Wyndham City offers grants as well. So we help navigating those processes, along with, of course, things like permits, permissions to run businesses, understanding requirements of council, etc.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Sorry, Lisa. Eligibility criteria for accessing your support, Lisa, and does it include ongoing support for businesses?
Yep, good question, Yazin. So there is no real eligibility criteria as such. We often have Wyndham residents calling up who may not have even registered an ABN as yet. So they're looking at getting started, and after some ideas and after being pointed in the right direction. So more to the point is, if there is an existing business, we want to make sure that they are a Wyndham-based business. I have had a gentleman call me from Hobson's Bay the other day, so I had to redirect him politely. So if you live, work, and I suppose play in Wyndham, and you've got an attachment and you're looking to start a business in Wyndham, or if you've already got a business, reach out to us to find out what's available. Ongoing support as such, you don't receive ongoing support in a traditional hand-holding sense, but we do have our business trainings that I mentioned, and we deliver a business training pretty much every month. Okay, then we've got our innovation program. So if someone's successful to join in on that as well, there's a lot of mentoring and effort that goes on there. We stay in touch. We try and engage with our businesses as often as possible so they know what's going on here at Wyndham in terms of support.
Awesome. That's really great. So based on your experience, what are the most common challenges that local entrepreneurs typically encounter when launching business in Wyndham?
Okay. The biggest challenge that I'm hearing, and I haven't, I've only been in my role here since March in this team, but the biggest things I'm hearing is questions around structuring. Okay. We can point you into the right direction to understand how business structures work, but we're not going to tell you how to structure your business. That's up to you and how you want to limit your liability and whatnot. Cash flow as well. Cash flow is often an issue. Sometimes people are, having to stay within work as well, maybe in a part-time or full-time capacity until their business sort of becomes more viable. Business planning is another big one. A lot of people have really great ideas, but they don't have it in a structured way to give them a real direction. So that is huge. When I say to people, do you have a business plan? More often than not, 9 times out of 10, they do not. And they actually want a bit of hand holding there. Or sometimes I've sat down with people and they've actually shown me their business plan. And again, it's not for me to advise you on your business plan. We don't go into that space, but I can point you in the right direction to get some help. And marketing is the other big one. People often feel like they'll have a good service or a good product, and marketing is a big, where do I start? Because you've got do you do social media? Do you use SEO? How are you going to do your website and get your name out there? So we point people in various directions and give them different pieces of information for them to go away and do their due diligence and make decisions in whether it be structuring their business or how they're going to go about their marketing and whatnot.
So apart from the economic development support, Lisa, could you tell us about other crucial departments and service offered by the City Council so that startups and people who want to start their business or business owners can tap into?
Yeah, okay. So one of the big things that I've been impressed with since I've joined the economic development team is we do have our business concierge service. So they're attached to our customer service desk. So, calling up on the phone, writing an email, interacting with staff within our department online is not always the preferred choice for some community members. So from time to time, we do get community members actually coming into the Civic Centre, going to the front counter, wanting to talk to our small business liaison officer. And we have someone on that desk Monday through to Friday. So I'm going to say 9 till 4 at the very latest. So we've always got someone out there who can talk to people around navigating things like your permits, requirements. You can come to us with an address so we can check, what's going to be permissible using for that particular building or parcel of land, whatnot. Business concierge sometimes will actually call me out to customer service as well if the questions go beyond, the permits and permissions. So that service is there, and it blows me away that service is there. It's very hands-on. Then, of course, we have environmental health, who we work closely with as well, because they've got to ensure that, policy compliance requirements are met in terms of things like safe food handling, disease control, and general public health. And of course, we work closely with our planning as well, which is planning basically work with us around property zoning and usage, which I mentioned a little bit there in terms of our small business liaison officer, but I didn't mention that it was our planning department ultimately has the information there. So that is where I fit and how some of my other fellow team fit in.
Awesome. That's really helpful, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing all that information.
No worries.
Next, our next panelist, Brandon, also from Wyndham City Council. So with nearly 4 decades, nearly 4 decades of career experience, including almost 30 years in private sector and decade in various government roles, Brandon is a specialist in business development and relationship management. His experience spans sales, marketing, strategic partnership, and management with with a background in both business to business and business to consumer dynamics. He worked in product and product management across diverse industries, including retail, hospitality, import-export, print management, infrastructure, transport, government, state and local, and education. Brandon holds a Bachelor of Arts from Deakin University, a diploma in leadership and management from the Gordon Staff, and currently serves as Innovation Hub Advisor at Wyndham City Council's Spark Innovation Hub. At this role, he oversees the facility and provides support, guidance, and advice to member business participating in startup initiatives. Welcome, Brandon, and that is really, I think, great CV, and kind of touched on some of the challenges that Lisa mentioned, and probably I think you'll be really great resources in terms of this. So our first question we have for you, Brandon, is could you please provide an overview of a Spark Innovation Hub and its support system for members?
Certainly. Thanks, Yasin. Good afternoon, everybody. As Yasin's pointed out, my name is Brendan Quirk and I manage the Spark Innovation Hub for the Wyndham City Council. Spark Innovation Hub is a facility that supports startup and entrepreneurs primarily in the digital tech space, but also supporting innovative, creative businesses, startups again, in Wyndham's key priority sectors such as education, health, medical, logistics, construction, agribusiness, and so forth. So the idea is what we enable the business to do once they're in here is that we support them through their growth and development, and we do this through my own capacity of being on site and doing that. We also broaden their networks through introductions to business associations, industry groups, and direct organisations where we see there's a synergy that they can be supported through that networking. And we also run a series of masterclasses. This could be an accelerator format, e.g. with businesses who are just in the startup phase of their journey. And by that, I mean within the first, say, 12 to 18 months. Or those are a little more established and we do more business development, professional development classes. And they could be anything from customer acquisition, sales, marketing, IP, cybersecurity, and so forth. So there's a broad range of activities that we can support the businesses with. The other aspect about Spark is it's a collaborative environment. Now, by that I mean that the businesses come here and they've generally come from a home office scenario where they are pretty much isolated. And one of the best things about being in Spark is that ability to collaborate and mix with other businesses who have a similar kind of thinking, critical creative thinking. And it's not so much working with each other on each other's business, but it's a place of ideation, of idea sharing, of problem solving, looking for expertise that the other members have that you can leverage advice from, for example. So the collaboration aspect in the physical environment is very important as well. And we do that by having meeting spaces, collaboration spaces, and open office plans where people can co-work, so to speak, work side by side, be there, but not necessarily working each other's business. So that's the Spark environment and what we try to do here to support businesses.
Awesome. That's really great, Brandon. Thank you. And if you haven't been to Spark, is in the Werribee East Precinct, and I highly recommend you have a look at the social media and everything. It's really, really great. Brandon, becoming a Spark member, is there any steps involved becoming a Spark member, and is there any specific requirements or criteria to meet?
Yes, certainly. There is a process that we go through, and it's really in two ways to do this. We have formal application periods, known as expressions of interest, and we also have informal periods where a business who's interested or has been identified by Lisa or one of the team in economic development, or perhaps even social economic inclusion, your team, Yasin, can approach myself at Spark. We can then have a conversation with that business, and if the business is comfortable and it's a right fit for Spark as well from the council's perspective, we can then ask them to submit an EOI, that expression of interest. The EOI is quite straightforward. It's telling us a little bit about your business, including areas such as what is your product or service, how is it unique and different, what kind of technologies are you using, how are you adapting or utilising current technologies and enhancing them? What new technologies are you bringing to market? And how does that support Wyndham businesses and more broadly external to Wyndham as well? So we ask that EIOI to be done. It's quite straightforward. Then if everything ticks the boxes, we'll bring you in for more of a formal discussion. And it's essentially an opportunity to tell us more about your business and for us to tell you more about Spark. So that's the process. As you can see, it's a bit of an application, bit of an interview process. The Spark initiative itself, I should have mentioned this earlier, is a 12-month in residency experience. So we ask those businesses that are successful in the EIOI process to join us at Spark, and then we take you on that 12-month journey, which are some of the things I mentioned earlier about how we support you. Currently, there's probably about 15 businesses in here, and they range from software, hardware, app developers, augmented virtual reality, meditech, data analytics, social media developers, and I don't mean influencers by that. I mean people who are working on like a social media type platform to support sustainability and environmental governance. We have robotics, automation, and a number of other practices. And as you can probably tell, they develop product that can be used across a myriad of different sectors and industries. So as you can see, by being part of that 12-month initiative, you get that great opportunity to mix with other businesses. And as I said earlier, to take on board the learnings that they've had. It's also an opportunity to expand your own network by being in Spark. But also too, I've seen many other businesses in Spark that have been introduced to the other business networks as well. So there's that organic growth of not only your business and what you can learn being in here, but also the expansion of your network. I'll say this, Spark is an opportunity for businesses to rapidly ramp up their commercialisation. At home, a business will grow potentially to here, but in a supportive collaborative environment, it'll grow to here in the same time frame. And so that's what we try to encourage with Spark. Meeting with the businesses in here on a regular basis, it gives me the opportunity to understand what's going on in their business, where I can support them. It also gives the businesses here the opportunity to bounce ideas off me and to refer perhaps problems they're having in getting out to market, what they might be having in networking, where they can gain some further traction. So I'll support them in those activities as well. So that's how you get into Spark, the kind of businesses that are in here. As I said, we're expanding that remit of the kind of businesses that are in here. And importantly too, currently you require an ABN to be registered in Wyndham. So we're purely a council funded entity and initiative. So the idea is to help Wyndham businesses first, but by helping the Wyndham businesses in that entrepreneurial, that digitech space, we like to think that we're also establishing a foundation to attract business into Wyndham. So Spark's about helping the businesses grow to a capacity to employ more people, to attract other business to Wyndham, so that business can then grow some more.
Awesome. That's really great, Brandon. With your extensive experience in business sector and close collaboration with Spark's member startups, what challenges and opportunities do you see for Wyndham entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think Lisa outlined a few of the challenges. I think one of the key things to do and I think one of our next speakers, Dylan from Bugbox, Dylan was actually a Spark member business, actually our very first business, and he can probably talk to more about the challenges and opportunities better than I can, being in the space and doing it himself. But, some of the challenges are, as Lisa's outlined, there's also the aspect about, growing your network quickly, about reaching out to the right organisations, reaching out for the right advice and mentoring. One of the things we can commonly do when we're seeking advice is go to people we know, trust and love, and invariably they won't want to hurt your feelings and they'll tell you what you want to hear. So I think it's important too that people seek advice from experienced and capable mentors and coaches. I think that's very important. It's a challenge of where to get advice, but the opportunity is great when you find the right advice too. Getting feedback and involvement for the right institutions. I think one of the things when you're starting up as a mentor, you really need to be sure about what you're doing, and be that a product or a service, the important thing is to test your product, to test your proposition, what's commonly known as your minimum viable product. And by doing that and testing it and doing it in a market that will allow you to get non-biased feedback is very important. So again, that's a challenge and an opportunity, because once you get it right, you then have more confidence of going to market and launching that product or service. It might be good starting in a smaller area to test your product and service. Not so much idea, because at this point you really want to have something solid that's ready to go, and also something that you can quickly pull back in and modify if needs be. Another aspect is, getting the support to do that. So working in with potentially other businesses or institutions that you may be able to leverage their experience from, and also get feedback from them, perhaps some guidance into. So that expertise is very important for businesses. Capital, as Lisa said, there's no angel investors or venture capitalist people in Wyndham. You do need to go to external funding sources for that, unless you find a patron locally who's willing to support you in your journey. But of course, that's not always easy to do. And again, that comes through growing your networks and supporting that. Yeah, I suppose just some other aspects about opportunities. The idea of scaling up your business is to look at growing your markets quickly, and then being ready when you need it to bring people on board, employ people if you like, or contract if that's a safer outcome. So look, there's some ideas and opportunities and challenges. I hope I've spoken to them well. I'd love to actually bring Dylan in on this discussion to add to that. Dylan and I have had many discussions over the time, but again, I'll leave it to him to talk to that. So that's some of the things that I could probably advise upon there.
Awesome, thanks, Brandon. And we will. Dylan is next panelist, and thanks for sharing that out. I think things that keep coming back is the right network and the right information. Hopefully, this industry insight can help that connect the right, give you right information, and hopefully give you some connections and people who to contact. So for the money, the investment, and hopefully we become next Silicon Valley, hopefully in the future, or something like that. In the meantime, yeah, it is very difficult for anyone who's starting their business. Final question for you, Brandon. What advice will you offer to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start their own business in Wyndham?
Yeah, okay. Well, as I said, validate what you're doing. It's very important to do that, and to do it through non-biased channels. It's very important to make sure your minimum viable product is at the stage. It's no good just having a thought bubble. You've got to test your theory, you've got to test your product, you've got to test your service. And again, that's through going out there and doing it. Small sample sizes initially. I say to, if you've got an idea and you're passionate about it, remain passionate. Stick to that golden pathway that you believe in. But at the same time too, be willing to adjust, take on board your learnings, take on board the advice from those experienced people, those coaches, those mentors. But don't adjust constantly, because if you keep flipping and flopping, you're going to go nowhere. I suppose timing's important too, acknowledging when is the right time to do each stage of your business development, of your product launch, of going to market. You've got to get your timing right, and don't mix your timings up in regards to trying to do some things ahead of others when you haven't validated that first step. So that's important to stick to. Be willing to listen and observe what others are doing. So listen to people who have been recommended to you, have qualified by having done this journey themselves. who have, supported other businesses in doing this. Listen and learn, because, you don't need to to invent the wheel again, so to speak. You can take a lot of good things from people because they've been through the ringer before, if you like. They've done the hard yards. So leverage that experience, that knowledge. Also leverage their passion. Keep that passion in yourself going. And part of that too, the right mentoring relationships are critical in that. And you might find that a mentor is not the right fit for you. It doesn't mean you give up. You just find another mentor. It's very important that you have in your own mind what you're looking for, what you need the help in. And it might be a bit of trial and error. You might bounce off a couple of mentors or coaches before you arrive upon the right one. But also too, you'll have different mentors for the respective stages of your business journey. So, you can stick to the same person if it keeps working. But if you realise, well, that person's an expert in marketing and sales, yet this person's an expert in business governance and business setup, then go with that person at that time for that respective part of your journey. Also, as you develop your business, you need to develop your own leadership. Again, look at how other people manage their business, and not just from a business perspective, but from a human element. Because once you scale up, you're going to be bringing people on board. And you might find you're a great founder, you've got the inquisitive, adventurous mind that wants to solve things. But when it comes to running your business, you mightn't be great at working with the people. So you actually get somebody into business to support you in that management capacity. So that's important as well. But build those management skills yourself. Build those leadership skills. Leadership's terribly important. That's the latter part when you get past your aspects of going to market and growing your business. So that's important. And when you get to that level, get to know the technical aspects of the business as well. You don't have to know everything about the finance and the governance, about the legal side. You draw upon experts to do that, but learn enough that you understand the discussion, what's required, and can proceed forward. So they're just some points there that, people, as they grow their business, they'll grow in those areas as well, or they'll need to.
That is really great advice, Brandon. We really appreciate it. That is Brandon and Lisa, and they are part of Wyndham City Council, and the support the City Council is giving locals who want to start their own business. Thank you both. Now moving on to Brandon. Dylan. Brandon and Lisa, we may have some questions on the chat for you. If you can stay with us until 5, I know time is ticking, it will be really great, so you can answer some of the questions. And if you can't, we will send you the list of the questions that targeted to you. Going to the next panelist. Dylan is a seasoned aeronautical engineer with a remarkable track record of 20 years of global engineering and business experience. In his engineering experience, Dylan has worked on significant commercial and military programs, including Boeing 787 Dreamliner and F-75 Lightning fighter jet. During his business career, he has consulted from many of Australia's most recognized brands. His journey reflects an unwavering commitment to fostering local talent, cultivating the founding of BagBox, and pioneering robotic company. At the helm of BagBox, Dylan has spearheaded a transformative movement in education by redefining how technology is introduced in schools. The BagBox program aspired to cultivate resilient young learners in primary school, empowering them with the self-assurance to tackle real-world challenges through inventive problem solving. Thank you for joining us, Dylan. Such a great resume again. Quickly go into the questions. What inspired you to start BagBox, and how do you manage to scale it so fast? Every time, since I came to Wyndham City, all I hear is BagBox everywhere. Great
well,
story.
Thank you for such an impressive introduction there. I was kind of, surprised myself to hear some of those words. Actually, so thank you. What inspired me to start BagBox is many things. For a long time now, I knew that I've got the energy and the internal passion in me to do something that benefits the community that I live in. Wasn't quite sure what that was going to be, but given my role in engineering as well as in business, I always liked, I'm always drawn to creating new solutions, improving things and looking for efficiencies. So over the pandemic lockdown, I spent a bit of time reading about how, we are experiencing a current gap in STEM qualified workers in the workforce, but also projected to grow quite a lot because, many of you may be already aware that, recently over the last few years, we've got a great demand for data analysts and data scientists and everybody under the sun that can, drive an Excel spreadsheet, but also crunch some massive data sets for big organizations. That's only going to grow. I'm old enough to know to start working my life as an engineer when Victoria was the hub for defence as well as automotive. We don't have that anymore, unfortunately. There's all automotive's all but gone from Australia, but the defence work has gone to other states. So and we've got great advancement coming on leaps and bounds in terms of physical robots, not no longer automation through digitization of what we do manually, but they're coming back in forms of robots. No doubt many of you have already seen the Boston Dynamics robot that is very much like a real pet. If you don't know what it is, I invite you to go down to Wyndham Tech School in Hoppers Lane there and ask to see Spot the robot. It's quite impressive. So more and more of those things are coming online. I guess the other aspect is I had a chance to be a substitute teacher during lockdown as well. My two daughters who are in primary school, and I really want them to become confident and at least have a basic understanding of the physical technology that when they hit the workforce in a few years' time, they will be managing. They will be making decisions to deploy this technology into, our community. So I wanted them to have the confidence to be able to speak to the technical engineers as well as understand the implications of their decisions. So, and I didn't start out to make BugBox or my own robots. I started out scanning the market for tools that were suitable for that sort of activity. I found that a lot of them, well, actually most of them are very expensive. So not many parents will invest in that technology, but also they're very digital, meaning that the physical robot that you get are more or less like toys. They're all locked up. You can't see what's inside. You interact with the robots through a closed learning system where how far you advance is kind of dictated by the software or the hardware. So if you want to progress any further, you got to buy the next model up and more expensive and more difficult. So that wasn't teaching the engineering and the structured thinking and the problem solving that I wanted. So I leaned back onto my engineering skills with the availability of 3D printers now and also a massive library called YouTube. I built a few prototypes and started reaching out, and it was timely that my wife saw the ad for Spark on Instagram actually, and thought that I should go and apply. So that's when I met Brendan and Daryl, and we had a conversation. And I guess just to emphasize on Brendan's point, the benefit of Spark is that I wouldn't be sitting here if I wasn't part of that program, because the network that I was able to build, to validate the idea, to sort of test, put my robots in front of teachers, put my robots in front of schools, is invaluable. I wouldn't have had that if I was just working by myself in my house.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan, for that. That's impressive. Just in the interest of time, I'm just going to merge some of the questions. So, what challenge did you face when starting BugBox? And if you had to start if you have to go back and start from the scratch, will you start BugBox or go another venture?
Yeah, look, I think the biggest challenge for anyone starting a business or starting a startup is you don't know what you don't know. And so, my advice would be go and talk to as many people as you can before you even invest money or effort into building anything. So, because you need to understand who's going to be willing to pay for your product or service before you start investing your own money into building that solution. So, and that sometimes, I wish I'd done more of that at the beginning. So just go door knock on schools and ask to speak to specialist teachers and say, hey, what do you think if there was a solution like this, or ask them about their pain points, ask them about what they find difficult, because that's really the problem you're trying to solve. So I think too often that we buy into the good news stories that we hear, the Zuckerbergs and the Bill Gates, who just came up with an idea in a dorm room and then all of a sudden quit Harvard University because investors are lining up at their door throwing millions of dollars at them. That doesn't happen. I can tell you that doesn't happen. So spend time with your customers, understand their needs, understand their pain point, but most importantly, understand their willingness to pay, because I guess that's when you know whether you've got a business or not, is whether people are willing to pay for your service.
Awesome. That's really great, Dylan. And you already touched on the other question and the advices you had for the attendees. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for that advice. And we probably have some questions for you direct at the end of this session, or we'll be sending through. And guys, if we will be sharing an update email after the session, so stay with us. And please just make sure that you write the questions. I know time is ticking. We may not have time to go through all the questions, but I assure you that we will all the questions we have on the chat. If we don't have time for it, we will make sure that we put it on an email. We share it with the panelists, and then we will send you the response. Going back, our panelist, Jenna is our next panelist, and she's a remarkable entrepreneur with a creative force behind Bitflix Fit, also known as BFF. In the midst of 2021 lockdown, Jenna transformed her dining room into a hub organization, giving birth to BFF, a dance fitness program that embraces diversity in all its forms. Her vision was to create a safe, judgment-free space for individuals of all shapes, sizes, and fitness levels, illuminating by disco lights for an exhilarating workout experience. Before venturing this business, Jenna served as a national coordinator for international logistics company. She always had a dream for running her own business, but fear held her back. It wasn't until she became a first-time mother that she realized that she needed to create a flexible, family-friendly career. During lockdown, Jenna built a strong media presence, conducted online workouts for awareness, and post-lockdown, turned her passion into a thriving six-figure business. Today, Jenna leads a team of 5, offering regular fitness classes to the public and providing private sessions in schools and disability sector. With a bright future ahead, Jenna's journey is an inspiring testament to power of determination and innovation. Indeed. And sorry if you feel like I'm rushing, Jenna, that's really incredible, an amazing Wyndham success story. What motivated you to start BFF, and what is your previous experience play? How did your previous experience play a part?
Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm really grateful and humbled for that. So thank you so much. There was various reasons for me starting BFF. I'd been on many health and fitness journeys myself, and I found a lot of the programs didn't cater to beginners, or the gym environments were quite daunting. If you're a beginner to fitness, they have bright lighting and big mirrors everywhere, and the programs just weren't fun. There also was a human connection element that was missing, and I felt like people want human connection. I realized people want to go to a place where they don't feel judged and they can just let go of all their worries of the world for an hour and go at their own pace. So that was basically why I created it. I had a few personal reasons as well. I always wanted to own a business, and I was a first-time mother, so it was a great opportunity to push me straight into that instead of being in the workforce and leaving my son full-time in care.
Awesome. That has turned out to be a great story. So amazing job. Second question, how do you establish a social media presence during lockdowns? And how do you come, I'm just merging questions, so excuse me if I go off script a bit. And also, how do you overcome the struggles? You mentioned you had some fears that was holding you back to study business. How did you overcome them?
Okay, so with the social media, we all know that's a huge part of the modern life, modern society. So it can be a key marketing tool if you've got a service-based business or a product-based business. I knew that a large percentage of people would be bored during lockdown and actually been spending a lot of time on social media. So I leveraged that. I did things like collaborated with local small businesses by sharing each other, running competitions. I ran free workouts online to get people moving during lockdown. But I think the biggest key takeaway for anyone starting a business with social media is just to offer value-filled content, content that's packed with value, and also be yourself, show personal life and your business life so people can build on the know, like, and trust factor, because I think that human connection is huge nowadays. So I think that helped me to grow because I showed both sides of everything.
Awesome. No, that's really great. And you already touched on the last question we had. So thank you so much. And I have seen Dylan already responding to some of the questions on the chat. So that's really amazing. Thank you, Dylan. And if all the panelists, if there's any specific questions regarding to you, and if you have a time, please feel free to respond to people who are putting the question on the chat. Thank you, Dylan.
Sorry, I answered the fear question. I missed that one, and I definitely do want to answer that one because I think it will help people who are out there wanting to start a business. I think that the biggest fears I had starting a business was fear of failure, and which actually stemmed from fear of other people's opinions. So I think the first thing you can do is look at why you fear it, and then just start facing the fear head on, and push through the barrier. Self-belief is the thing that's going to take you the longest way. I thought I wanted to share that because it was one of my questions that I absolutely love. So sorry for cutting in.
Oh, no, that was really necessary. And thank you for sharing that. That was really amazing. And I think a lot of people, especially people who are attending this, one of the reasons is to get inspiration too. So it's really amazing to hear the fears you face and how you overcome them. Thank you so much for sharing that and for sharing all the information about your business.
You're welcome.
Going to our last panelist, Salman. I've seen you coming, and I hope Peter helped you with the technical issues you are having, and I hope you can hear me clearly. I can't see you. Yep, I can't see you there. Are you there, Salman?
Yep, I can hear you, Yasin.
Awesome, that's really great. So a quick introduction on Salman. So Salman has a background in corporate finance from one of the big banks, 4 banks, and has a degree in economics. Salman made a courageous choice in 2019 to follow his passion and co-found a local transit co, work integrated social enterprise that has a clear mission to transform the wheelchair accessibility transport sector in Victoria. Salman's work is driven by dual purpose. Firstly, it aims to provide sustainable employment opportunity for drivers in low socioeconomic areas with a focus on migrants and refugees. Secondly, it seeks to redefine the customer experience for people living with disabilities, making it accessible and innovative. And within 4 years of starting business, Salman did a great job on his team by creating 75,000 hours of meaningful employment for social beneficiaries. Amazing job, Salman, and great to have someone representing the social enterprise sector. Thank you for joining us. Salman, what inspired you to pursue your dream and start a social enterprise business?
So for me, I come from a different background. I was in banking for quite a long time, 7 years. I thought I was going to do something completely different. I thought I was going to pursue economics. But my sort of local transit sort of came about sort of from a necessity. I come from an East African background, Somali background. And, my community, for whatever reason, when we came to the country some 30 years ago, we sort of ventured into the taxi sector. There's been quite a lot of significant changes in that sector. It's quite different since the deregulation in 2017. You have drivers that sort of previously could sort of sustain an income and raise a family, which they have done, which is the case of my own and my dad. But are in a position at the moment where driving 10 to 16-hour days, 6-7 days a week, and the idle time, so the time between the pickup, waiting for a passenger and sort of taking a job, that's sort of increasing over the last 5 years. That's sort of increasing, and what that's causing is that sort of their sort of baseline, their sort of income has sort of decreased quite significantly, and they're faced with a choice: either leave a sector that they've sort of gained quite a lot of experience over decades, deep understanding of Melbourne streets, and venture into something they don't understand or know, or stick around and sort of work really laborious hours. So that's how we came about, and that was that sort of necessity that came, the reason for the catalyst for local transit. And so what we did was we understood that social enterprise as a concept is a revolutionary concept, something that is growing and something that can sort of really be meaningful and beneficial for our community. And so what we did was we capitalize on a growing sort of movement, social procurement as a concept, and sort of connected our community of drivers to business requirements of departments, etc. And it's that connection that sort of has allowed us to grow significantly there. The other key issue that we sort of try to address at the moment is that transport, or public transport, is accessibility in transport is a key issue at the moment, and one that is being solved for, but can take quite some time. Our drivers are drivers that have been in the WAV sector for quite a long time and have a deep understanding in sort of wheelchair sort of transport accessibility. And what we do is we connect transport sort of gaps and find sort of solutions for that. So an example of that is, if you're a person with a severe disability, you can't just casually sort of access any sort of trans stop. So there's quite a lot of gaps in that sense. And what we do is we try to find meaningful solutions for that, like last mile or demand responsive transport to sort of help for that. So it's those kind of like goals that have allowed us to sort of go into meaningful conversations and generate some sort of meaningful work from that.
That's amazing, Salman, and amazing job you guys doing for people with disability. That's amazing. Secondly, I'm just merging, because of interest of time, just merging some of the two questions I have up here. Social enterprise. We heard that the challenges with the typical businesses are mainly a lot of, especially starting a small business, is a lot of money is required, capital sometimes. What is there a unique challenge in starting a social enterprise business?
I think there's definitely all the same challenges as a normal business. Capital is certainly sort of a prohibitive sort of gap, depending on the sector that you're sort of venturing into. But I think with social enterprise specifically, there is the added gap. There is the added issue when it comes to the misconception of being incapable of producing or producing high quality service. So that's something that we sort of had a significant challenge initially with. There is sort of that misconception that maybe local transit might not be able to deliver this particular service, and there's quite a high risk requirements, and they might not be able to deliver to that. So for that, we sort of obviously over delivered in some of the services that we sort of did, but in doing that, we also ensured that that sort of relationship was sort of nurtured, and we're able to sort of reproduce that and showcase that when it comes to other clients that we try to work with. So whether that be sort of writing a very comprehensive capability statement, that's sort of really been helpful for us, or sort of getting testimonials from some of the clients that we initially did work for, regardless of the size and how much money we got from that. But I think that word of mouth is what really helped us grow initially.
Awesome, that's really great. Last question, Salman. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are here today, or aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start a social enterprise business?
I think it's really important for you to understand I guess two things. It's really important for you to understand what I guess, impact you're sort of solving for, what community issue that you're solving for, and really deeply understand that. For me, obviously, it came through lived experience. My dad's obviously a taxi driver for quite a long time. I can clearly see the issues that my dad and his peers are sort of experiencing, right? So understanding their issue was very clear to me. So I think that's very important. Understand what community problem that you're solving for. But I think also the other thing as well, I think that's been mentioned today by a few of the other panelists, is obviously trying to understand what business problem that you're solving for as well. There's no point sort of going in front of a client if you really don't understand what exactly they need, when they're sort of putting out tenders, etc.
Yeah, amazing advice. Sorry, Salman, you wanted to add more?
No, that's all. I think 5 o'clock to the dot, so I keep it very
Awesome. Sorry for rushing through the last few questions, and you guys did an amazing job and provided an invaluable information to our attendees. We really appreciate it, and thank you so much for your time. If this is just optional, any panelists who want to stay 5 more minutes or potential 10 more minutes, we will really appreciate. Otherwise, if you don't have time, no worries, we can take the questions and send it to you if there's questions directed to you guys. We're just opening now, going to the questions. Is there specific questions, Pira, we have on the chat? I'm thinking this is directed to Spark and Brandon. Is there the programs you run, is there a specific time frame that people should be aware of?
No, there's no specific time frame. As I said earlier, there's 2 types of intakes. A formal expression of interest period, and we've had 3 of those so far. The start of last year, the middle of the year, and again the middle of this year. When we're not having those official periods of application, we'll have what we term as out of round offers. And as I said, they're primarily actioned by people applying directly to Spark, asking questions, telling us a bit about their business, but also might have been recommended by one of the economic development business engagement people, such as Lisa or David Gatt, or could be actually a recommendation from another Spark member business. So they're the 2 types of rounds. So as you can see, in regards to that, there's no prerequisite in regards to timeframes or participating in a certain course. We offer individual masterclasses throughout, and you don't have to do one before doing another. We are looking at accelerator programs, which may be more attuned to having fixed periods. They might be programs run at Spark rather than be residency programs. So in that case, you would join up at the start of the program, and whether it be 3 months or 6 months long, you'd come in at the start and complete it at the end of that given time frame. So that's how Spark operates for the intakes and the kind of participation in the programs as well.
Awesome.
I think there was another question from Anna as well.
Yeah,
just
there's a couple of. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Yasin, you go ahead. It's your show.
There's a couple of questions. Yeah, a couple of questions regarding the Spark, and I think you touched a lot of the answers. And this session is recorded, so we will share with you guys. You can rewind back and hear what Brandon said earlier. Also, we will share the link with the expression of interest for Spark with you guys, and more information about the Spark's website. So we will send that resources too. I don't want to just asking a similar question. That's why. Thanks, Brandon, for that. Second question, that's specific for Lisa. How do you access mentoring service provided by the City Council? So the services you mentioned, how do we access it? And I think you have already touched some of that.
Yep. So the only mentoring, formalized mentoring service that we have in place at the moment, which we need to I'll be rolling out dates for shortly, is our business growth programs, which are innovation programs. So it's intensive mentoring along with classroom learning. Participants, it is a competitive process. The programs are amazingly intensive. They're around changing your behavior and changing your business practices. You get one-on-one time with a mentor. We make a significant investment in the program as well. and they're run by business leaders. So for each program, so we have one program which is called Innovate to Accelerate, okay, where we can take up to 12 people in that cohort. Generally, the numbers do sit at around about 10. It depends on the facilitator, but we could, generally we could potentially take up to 12. And then we've got, and that's for our startup community. And then we've got Innovate to Regenerate, which is for businesses that have been in existence for 4 years or more. When, they're not really growing, they've kind of plateaued, they've got to a point, and they're flatlining, and they need to look at what they're doing and to create growth in their business again. So the programs are very intensive. They run for approximately 3 months. We expect commitment. So if someone is selected for the program, there's an expression of interest process, which that is open now. If you're selected for the program, we expect 100% commitment. So when we are selecting people for the group as well, we ensure we've got to get the balance right in the cohort as well. So it's about having the right chemistry in the group as well. So that's what we offer as a formalised mentoring. Business Victoria do offer mentoring services as well, so we can certainly point people in that direction.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. And yeah, just to reiterate, guys, there's a lot of questions regarding the resources we'll share with you guys. And for some things that you can also do for yourself, LinkedIn pages, Spark have, they do have an EcoDev, they have LinkedIn pages. So feel free to also search social media pages and follow them. Also, Spark, there's another question in terms of a successful story. I think Dylan and Backbox is a successful story in Spark. I know there's potentially more, but as Dylan is with us today, so if anyone want a successful story from Spark, Dylan's story I think will be one to reflect on. Also, Lisa, there's another one for you. Like, do you accept face-to-face meeting for people who want to meet?
100% happy to meet with people. In fact, I really enjoy it. It's a lot. It gets me away from the desk. So happy to meet with community. It is just a matter of reaching out. I may well, usually I like to pick up the phone. I'm a bit old fashioned, so likely that I'll pick up the phone if you do email me, have a quick chat to you about your business, and then we'll, align a time that works for both of us. So yes, can meet with people.
Awesome. That's really great. And we will share your business number, your work number and email, so people will be able to reach out to you through that.
Yeah, I'll actually give you, I prefer it to go through our shared inbox. So
yeah.
I'll type the email address to get in contact with me in this in the chat box.
Awesome. That's really great. We have a lot of more questions, which we will not have time to go through. We will sift through it, and if we have any question that we feel like is not answered through the questions we ask the panelists, or not touched by other questions that the panelists answered, we will put it to the panelists, and they will be able to answer it at their own time, and they will email us back, and we will share with you guys. And just another reminder that we will definitely share with you guys the resources that I mentioned here, Spark Innovation Hub, and we will ask the other panelists, Dylan, Jenna, and Salman, if they're happy for us to share some of the business details too. So if anyone is interested to reach out with their permission, if they give us the permission, we will share with you guys. So that way, if you want to have more chat and if you want to expand your network, as we heard this, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So definitely, I think we highly recommend that you connect with the right people and take advantage of the wealth of knowledge these panelists have. That's it from our side. Thank you so much all for joining us. Thank you, our panelists, on behalf of Opportunity Wyndham and on behalf of Wyndham City Council. We really greatly appreciate your input. And for the attendees, we really hope that you got the information to help you start, hopefully, and inspire you to start a business. And just hopefully you understood that there is a lot of support from the Wyndham City Council, and there's some great success stories from the local area. So we encourage you to use the information we'll be sending, connect to the right people, and all the best. And thank you all.